Hey folks, I'm Tommy Mester from data36.com, and this is a video that I took from my new video course called the Data Source course. In the Data Source course, I help you get data for your data science side projects in various ways. One popular method is, of course, using APIs. In the course, in the API module, I have detailed tutorials and Jupyter Notebooks for 4 different APIs. But here on YouTube, I wanted to publish the general intro for this API module. So if you are wondering what is an API and how you can use it for your data science side projects, hopefully you will find this video useful. So let's see it. Oh, and if you are interested in the whole course, find the link in the description. API means Application Programming Interface. But for us in this course, it means another way of accessing a lot of great data sources. If you Google it, you will see that many applications on the internet provide API connections. Twitter, YouTube, Spotify, Gmail, Google Analytics, and many more online services. You can use an API to connect to the database of an online service and download part of their raw data via coding. You can use many languages for that, but in this course we will do that via Python. Well, I have to add that you can do many more things with these APIs, but for now let's focus on the data science aspect, getting new datasets. In this module, I created tutorial videos on 4 different APIs. I will show you how you can query datasets of real projects by using the Coinbase API, so you will be able to analyze cryptocurrency trends, the Open Weather API, so you will be able to analyze weather data, the Yahoo Finance API, so you will be able to analyze stock trends, and the Twitter API, so you will be able to analyze social media interactions. Have you ever seen someone create data science projects where they correlated a famous person's tweet sentiments with stock price movements? Well, there are good chances that they got the data for that analysis via APIs. And obviously, these are just 4 APIs, there are many more, and once you get a good grasp on how APIs work, hopefully, by the end of this module, a whole new world will open up for you, and you will be able to get access to many other applications databases. And well, hopefully build something more meaningful than a Twitter sentiment versus stock price correlation. So, I will show you video tutorials for these 4 APIs, but of course, next to the tutorials, you will also find the Jupyter Notebooks that you see in my tutorials, so you can easily rerun my code. Before we get started, let's talk about the single biggest issue of APIs. And for that, let me show you the documentation for the Coinbase API, for instance. I mean, does it look nice and easy when you scroll through? No, it looks super complicated. And here's the thing, APIs are built by developers for developers, so they are usually well documented, but not very user-friendly. This looks scary, I admit it, but in fact, all you have to do is to stay patient, read through the whole documentation, and find those few lines that you will need for your projects. Yes, it can take an hour or more, but once you read everything and find what you need, it will all become very simple. And if you don't want to go through all lectures in this module, I still really recommend that you start with the Coinbase API example, because you will see that while this documentation is just way too much to take in at first sight, eventually it will take no more than 6 short lines of Python code to get the actual raw data we need. Hopefully, the Coinbase example will demystify this whole API thing for you, and once you get that, you will feel much more comfortable with all other APIs on the internet. Here, I have to add that in essence, all APIs are the same, but they are all different too. Why? Because the idea is the same behind all of them, but they are built by different people. So the implementations will come with a few small but important differences. I selected the 4 specific APIs that I mentioned to present in this module for a reason. With these 4 examples, you will see the most common API challenges. The Coinbase API will be the simplest example of querying raw data. As I said, I start with this because it will demystify the whole concept and it will show you that APIs are in fact not that difficult to use once you get them. The Open Weather API will demonstrate another important aspect. In that lecture, we will add an authentication layer as well. For the Yahoo Finance API, we will go one step further because there we will need to install a new Python library too. And to use the Twitter API, you will have to try out another, even more advanced type of authentication method. As you can see, we will start with the easiest and we will move towards the hardest solutions. And I really recommend that even if you are not interested in all 4 of these APIs, you go through them regardless for the sake of learning. And again, you would be surprised how many of the services you use offer API connections and a way to extract data out of them by coding. So after finishing this module, take a list of your favorite online services and then type their name plus the word API to Google. As I said, a whole new world of data will open up for you. Okay, so to finish this video, here are a few final thoughts. Remember, APIs are useful, they are great data sources for your projects. They look difficult at first sight, but you don't have to get intimidated. You should be patient, read through the documentation, and find a few lines of code you will need for your projects. For me, it usually takes an hour or even more to figure out how a new API works, and that's totally fine. And go through all lectures I show in this module, try out all these different APIs, and then start with a few small examples and scale from there. Okay, it's time to go deeper. Okay, this is it. I hope you found this useful, and if you want to learn more about the data source course, just check out the link in the description.